Check us out to hear the latest on life in the volunteer state. Yvonnca and her guests discuss everything from life, love, and business with a Tennessee flair.
It's a Tennessee thing.
Always relatable, always relevant, and always a good time. This is Talkin' Tennessee, and now your host, Yvonnca.
This episode is brought to you by the Landes team, your go-to real estate family in East Tennessee. If you are looking to buy or sell, we are the ones you should call. Give us a call at 865-660-1186 or check out our website at YvoncaSellsRealEstate.com. That's Yvonnca, YVONNCA, sellsrealestate.com.
Welcome back to Talkin' Tennessee with Yvonnca. I am your host, and I am here with a dear friend that just wrote a fantastic book. His name is John Matthews, and he wrote a book about wisdom at a cost. Welcome.
Oh, thank you for having me. Excited to be here.
Most definitely. Viewers, this book is one of those you want to run out and grab you a copy of it, because I'll tell you this, when I picked up the book, I read the first chapter, and the title, let me say the title, it does get you, okay? But it's just real. It's raw. And he's talking about his journey from childhood to becoming an adult, and now where he's at today. And so I'm so honored to tell your story.
Well, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate you saying that. It's not easy writing a book.
No, it's not.
It's not easy writing a book.
And I'll tell you, I've wrote a book before, and I'll tell you, the more personal you are about your journey in life, it's good and bad. I'll say that, because it will take you back to places that you felt like you got over. You felt like you've healed from, that type thing, and you realize, it still stings a little bit.
Yeah.
But the best part about it is, to me, is it tells you about you. It's a personal thing, writing a book, especially with his journey. Let's start with a good question. Who is John Matthews?
I'm just a young boy at heart that's still trying to make it in the world, just like anybody, try to learn from our mistakes, try to, understand the wisdom that it's being presented to me. And as we get older, we just want to make less of them. Mistakes.
We do.
It's, we're not going to stop making mistakes. We just want to make less of them.
And we want to use wisdom, I feel like, in the right way. And our life, to me, the older you get, is simplified.
Yeah.
And so it's like, okay, I've learned from this. How can I help others to learn?
Yeah.
I know with me, it's like I try to tell young people certain things that, hey, if you learn it at this age, imagine when you get to my age, how strong you're going to be. But I'll tell you, I come from a small town. You come from a small town. And let's talk about what it's like growing up in a small town and having trauma from childhood. What was your childhood like?
Oh, that's a good question. I didn't understand this word codependent. It gets tossed around a lot in mainstream.
I agree.
And until I really understood, because I threw it out like I knew what it was. Hey, I'm codependent, and had it really all wrong. And essentially, if you have a parent that's an alcoholic or addicted to anything, drugs of any sort, and they have this dependency that is controlling their livelihood, their choices, their decisions as a parent, everybody around them then becomes codependent to their dependency. And breaking from that is extremely hard. The household I grew up in was a family of 5.
Okay.
I have a twin brother. We are fraternals. We do not look alike, but he is bald just like I am. We weren't going to escape that family trait.
He's like, no.
So I have a twin brother and an older sister, family of 5. And my father was actually married once before. And the marriage before, it lasted about 5 years. He had one daughter, left when she was about 2 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And just to kind of give you a comparison of the household I grew up in, and this idea of codependency and you know, him being an alcoholic and just a cruel individual all the way around.
Yes.
The daughter he had that he left at 2, you know, mom remarried, she had a stepfather, has a quote unquote normal life. She's been married 30 plus years, 2 boys, grown up. You know, most would consider a successful marriage and
Yes.
a normal life, versus the house that me and my brother and my sister grew up in. All 3 of us were in and out of jail, and all 3 of us were on drugs from this chaotic environment. And that really, you know, is the, in my opinion, the driving factor of most of my bad decisions.
Right.
Growing up in that type of environment.
Well, one thing, that being your father, especially with you being a man, a lot of young boys pattern after their fathers.
Mm-hmm.
They do, and they look up to their fathers.
Yeah.
And so you're seeing your father spiral out of control.
Mm-hmm.
You know, what was it like to be in the household with your dad on a day-to-day basis? What was it like? Was he a functional alcoholic, or was he a crash alcoholic?
He was absolutely a functioning alcoholic.
Okay.
But externally, when he'd be out in the public, people loved him. You know, he's charismatic. He did all the great things. But when he came home, it was just a different person. And the best way I can describe it is he was just not healed from his own childhood. You know, his father left when he was a young age. He had a stepfather that was, you know, abusing his sister when they were really young.
Okay.
There's an avenue there
Mm-hmm.
that can cause his childhood trauma, but instead of being a man and actually going to deal with it and heal from it, he just wanted to take it out on everybody else. He eventually got sober, you know, at some point when we were still in early adolescence, but still walked on eggshells when you were around.
Yeah, so he basically got up every day, and to the public,
Mm-hmm.
he was this great person,
Mm-hmm.
but to his children
And wife, yeah.
and
Yeah,
wife,
yeah.
yes, he was this person that wasn't that kind
Mm-hmm.
at a very young age. How did that start out your path?
Well, I didn't know people live differently. You know, when you're in that environment, you have nothing to compare it to. So I just thought that's what normal everyday life looked for all kids. And I didn't really put it all together until I had a child of my own. You know,
Uh-huh.
back to what you said, that some people grow up want to be like their fathers, they look up to them. And I think this is, you know, certainly the case in a lot of people's lives where their father is an alcoholic and all these things, and they grow up to be an alcoholic.
I agree.
Or they do want to do the total opposite, and this essentially was what I did. You know, the way that he treated us versus the way I treated my daughter, 2 totally different individuals.
Totally. And let me say this. A lot of times people don't understand there's 2 ways, okay? Either you grow up and you realize, I want to be a better parent
Mm-hmm.
than the parent I had.
Mm-hmm.
But then there's other sides that pattern themselves right after that parent and go into being the abuser in their children's lives. Was he physically abusive to you and your brother and sister?
Both physically and verbally. Just the worst part was the meaning, the demoralizing into everybody. And I think he did it just to make himself feel better, you know.
Okay.
But
did he ever try to get help? Or did he not see it as, I need help?
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
He was very proud, you know, very egotistical. And no, to my knowledge, he never tried to seek help. If he did, it didn't show.
How did your mom deal with the day-to-day, if you don't mind me asking?
No, she had her own vices. She was, you know, she was addicted to food, you know, just kind of ate her way to happiness, if you will. Spent money. She liked this, you know, shopping, you know,
yes,
all these things that kind
those
of
vices.
Those vices that,
mm-hmm.
And she put up with it, you know. And I think she was the first one in the family that filed for a divorce, and I mean that like in our immediate family.
Yes.
It just wasn't heard of, and
Yeah.
so
Especially back then, no. And back then, a lot of families were taught that don't bust up your family.
yeah,
You know, no matter what, even though you're telling people to stay in an abusive relationship and you're not thinking about, because I can literally say I didn't grow up in an abusive relationship, but my family, I didn't see divorces, and then my mom and dad got a divorce. And was I angry at first? But after a year after they separated, I realized that my parents needed to get a divorce because it can make you dysfunctional.
Yeah.
You know, that type thing at a very young age. So I know that you probably endured that yourself, and your mom probably had a sense of let down. I'm letting my family down. I'm letting my children down, you know, by separating, especially if she's never seen it in her family.
absolutely. And you know, watching it, there's some things looking back, I'm thinking, why did she leave then? But you know, we didn't even know as kids that that's an option.
Right.
You know, you're so young and so innocent and just.
And most kids don't want to see their parents separate anyway.
No.
For whatever reason. They want the family to stay
Absolutely.
together.
And it's more common now. I feel like if
It is.
you go to any school system, the majority are now parents that are not together. Versus
That is
back when
true.
we were younger, you know, the majority of our parents were together, and the anomaly was the ones that divorced. But you know, I remember a time where you know, where our bedroom was at in the hallway, they had this argument, and he kicked in, you know, she locked herself in the room to protect herself, and he's kicking down the door
Oh, wow.
right in front of and our door is open. So,
So
you know, looking back,
there
now,
was no
thinking,
boundaries.
yeah, I was like, why didn't she leave then?
Right.
You know.
Some women, I'll say, I've talked to some women in the past, and they say, I just didn't have the strength to do it. But you look back and you think, you know, why didn't you leave? And then let's talk about this. A lot of times back then, even some now, a lot of women stay in it for the financial aspect of it, because say that they not working.
Yeah.
They
How
feel
can I do
like,
this on my own?
yeah, how can I do this on my own? How am I going to take care of my children? I don't want to be homeless. I don't want my kids to be homeless. I don't want them to come out of what they are used to, but it's still abuse.
Yeah.
So what were your emotional and physical consequences of reaching for turning to drugs?
Yeah, that
How did that?
Yeah, that
how did
happened.
that come?
It happened slower but faster than I thought, I guess, in some senses. I was 13, 14 years old. I was hanging around with some friends in middle school that smoked weed, you know.
Right.
And the only thing I wanted to do was smoke cigarettes because I just thought I was cool. So I'd steal cigarettes from my dad, or you know, he would. This friend that smoked weed would bring a pack of cigarettes that he got from his older brother, and we would ride 4-wheelers. And you know, where we lived.
And that was at 13.
This is at 13 years old. Yeah.
Very young age.
Very young age. Yeah. And you know, one day we're out in the woods. I actually am originally from South Florida, so this is in a part of South Florida that was in the middle of the Everglades. There was nothing around. It wasn't a large city. It was very, very rural, you know.
Very rural.
Very rural.
Yes.
And, you know, of course, back
Probably
then,
wasn't much to do.
not much to do. You weren't tracked on a Life 365 app.
Right.
You know, you were just out there.
What we have now.
What we have now, you know, you're out there just doing whatever you're wanting to do. And then just one day I was out of curiosity, just like, hey, I'd like to get high. And, of course, my friend's eyes lit up, like he's like, finally, you know, I've been smoking by myself this whole entire time.
Really?
And, you know, everybody talks about that peer pressure. I didn't see that. I didn't have that. He didn't say, you know, oh, we need to smoke. You're such a, you know, sissy or anything like that. It was just, you know, he did his thing. I did my thing. Until one day I was just like, curiosity kills the cat, I guess, right?
Right.
And I remember when I got home, nobody found out. Sky didn't fall. You know, I didn't go to jail. You know, all
And
these
you
things.
felt like I got
to
to do what I wanted to do.
And I got away with it.
And you got away
And
with
I got
it.
away with it.
You thought you got away
I
with
thought I
it.
got away with it.
Keep going.
And so from there it progressed into trying new drugs, which oddly enough, the next 2 drugs I tried was acid and cocaine. So if you think
Really?
about just going all in, you know.
Okay.
Like,
you went to the extreme.
Went to the extreme. And
did anybody in your family at that time know you were doing anything? Your siblings?
No, and they were not. You know, my older sister, see, if I was 14, she was 16. She was driving.
Okay,
and,
so she had her own thing.
She had her own thing,
going
but
on.
was certainly not in drugs. Now,
Okay.
smoking cigarettes, probably. Drinking beer, probably. You know,
Yeah.
but we didn't hang out because I was, you know, young, and she's the cooler older sister, right?
Right.
She's now a sophomore, junior in high school driving, and her younger brother's still in middle school. So, you know.
So
put
did
a-
your
put a
twin
cramp on her
hang
thigh.
out with you, or did y'all just have your own set of friends?
That's, no, 100% he and I.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, and it's because, you know, Dad didn't really, he did enough to my sister, not sexually or not physically, but enough to you know, make her make bad choices and self-esteem
Gotcha.
problems that but now, my brother and I, being males, no holds barred. The crazy thing is, I don't remember most of the time that, you know, I got beat, but I remember all the ones he did. It's almost like you kind of disassociate at the time, but you know, there's a couple of events
You kind of blocked it out of your mind.
that I remember, just my brother, and just wishing I could help, but I couldn't. You know, he's obviously 4 times my size, so he and I always stuck together. We shared a room together. You know, you're a twin.
Yep.
You know, we
Exactly.
all have best friends, and we all have these friend groups that we have throughout adolescence, whether it's elementary school, middle school, high school. Sometimes it's one person that goes through all those stages with us, but maybe eventually they move on. Whereas, you know, I still got this guy. I'm 44 years old, and my
Yes.
best friend is still alive and still knows everything about me. So,
And I can trust.
and I can trust.
And I think, viewers, I want to put this out here. You know, childhood trauma is real.
Mm-hmm.
It's real, and everybody doesn't deal with trauma the right way.
Yeah.
I'll say that.
Yeah.
I will say that I believe that you have to rise up from the trauma. You can't allow the trauma to
Consume you.
to consume you, and that's not saying that it's easy. And so I wanted to put that out there, is that, you know, so many people out here have childhood trauma that they haven't dealt with.
Mm-hmm.
So me and John's coming together to show you how he dealt with it, how, you know, he made bad choices. He made, you know, and he owns it. That's the best part, is you own it. So my next one is, how did methadone
Help.
How did that come into your
Yeah,
story?
yeah. So fast forward a few years of bad choices. I was kicked out of my house, and as soon as I turned 18, a couple weeks after I turned 18, and so I still was in high school. Still had to try to finish high school because I'm one of those February babies, and so being homeless at that time and not knowing where to go or how to.
Did you hear him say he was homeless?
Yeah.
Okay. Let me go back
Yeah.
for one thing, because there's IV drugs that was in there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's go back some.
Mhm.
Okay. How did you get
To that.
from smoking cigarettes to weed
Mm-hmm.
to acid, cocaine, and now
Shooting up.
shooting up?
Mm-hmm.
Take us back.
That started coincidentally enough in this term that I talk about in the book, this addict brain, this voice inside of our head that's well, it's our own voice. It sounds just like us, and it knows exactly what we need to hear to convince us to make a bad decision. And in an addict form of it, it's a strong voice, and it's patient. It waits for the right opportunity to just kind of come on in and tell you what you need to hear, so you just make a bad decision. And the crazy thing about this voice, and not to go on a side tangent here, but if I was to tell you why I'm about to make this bad decision, Yvonnca, you just look at me and say,
Don't make it.
that sounds like the dumbest thing I ever heard.
Right.
But to me, it makes complete sense, and it's not meant to convince you or anybody else. So if I verbally speak it out of like, hey, I'm gonna go shoot this pill in my arm, and this is why. I mean, you just be like, well, that's the dumbest thing I ever heard. Like, that sounds crazy.
So most people do it in silence.
Yeah, they do it in silence, and that voice is not meant to convince anybody but you. It's your voice. It's your addict brain. It's and we all have our own vices, and you have that voice inside your head. Maybe I'm gonna not get up today, or I'm not gonna go work out today, or whatever it may be, or I deserve this cookie. I'm about to go eat. I've been eating clean for a week. I can have one piece of cake.
That's true.
Whereas I would say now, Yvonnca, you told me you're gonna be on this diet. Why are you giving up? But you, in your mind, your own. So.
I can have this.
Yeah, you can have this.
Even though you're affecting yourself throughout that, I've been trying to eat cleaner lately, and I'm over here like, okay, so if I make this salad, but if I put a whole bunch of dressing on it, am I really eating cleaner?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so you probably in your mind felt like, okay.
Yeah.
It's going to be okay. I'll try it one time. I hear people say that. I've tried it one time, thought it was going to be just a one-time thing, and they were automatically hooked.
Well, and I bring it into this next portion because I was a bartender. And so when I took a hydrocodone, which is just a pill that you get from a doctor that you might do some surgery, or maybe had a wisdom tooth taken out, something very
I was going to say this, yeah.
And my addict brain correlated with me taking that to make it more money as a bartender. It was more personable. I was Johnny on the spot. People liked me.
Okay.
And so I deserve to make more money, right?
Right.
So why not take another pill every time I worked?
So was you at home then? Still at home? Or had you already moved out?
So my first dabble into hydrocodone was still at home. Still in high school.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, there's a story I tell in the book about the ripple effect and casting that first stone, and you don't really know. It could be a ripple of generosity, or it could be a ripple of detriment. And I've casted both. One, you wish the ripples would stop immediately, and the other one, you're cheering on the sideline that they keep on going.
Right.
But essentially, I was still in high school when I first dabbled into it. But when it took a turn for the worse, it was where I was consistently taking them every day off the streets, and that was when I was already kicked out. I was, over 18 years old now, and that's when it really, from 18 to about 22 years of age, were probably the worst. I think I just counted it up the other day. I had by the time November of 1999, which I would have been 18, 6-7 months by then.
Okay.
8 months maybe.
Okay.
Was arrested 4 different times.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And it didn't stop there. I was arrested multiple times after that too.
So let's go back to your dad.
Mm-hmm.
When all this was going on, did he know?
The first time I was ever arrested, he knew. But the other ones, I don't know if he knew.
But what was his reaction to it? Did he bail you out?
He actually did. He actually came and picked me up. Yeah, I didn't know who the car was, but I was underage. I was 17.
17.
I was 17.
And so the man that introduced you to an addiction, okay, showed you his addiction, was picking you up from jail.
I think they called him. I didn't call him.
Oh, okay. Yes. At 17 they probably did. Yeah.
But no, then the other ones, I just called a bail bondsman. Nobody had to know except for the bail bondsman. And she was great. She'd always sit out there and say, "What'd they accuse you of now, John?" She was always in my corner.
So you had, he had a relationship with the bondsman.
Can you believe they said I was doing this? Which clearly I was guilty.
Yes. But again, you had a bondsman basically tell you it's okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna come get you. That type of thing. Even though they were getting paid, that type of thing. But as
Ace bonding, by the way, if you ever need to get bonded. I don't even know if she's still doing it or not. That was 20-some years ago.
Yeah, but you think about that the bondsman was telling you, "Hey, John, what'd they do to you this time?" Da 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 da. So didn't
have the money to pay her, she would just say, "Come by my house." She let me. I knew where she lived, and I would just go give her money because I was a bartender. So as I made money, I paid my debts off to her.
Really?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh wow.
She was a great woman.
So by that time, you was 18.
Yes.
18 years old. you got popped on the hand several times,
Yeah.
4 times arrested. So where did you go from there?
Still thought I was getting away. Still thought I had the upper hand. Young, just irresponsible. All the things, and didn't even see my life as spiraling. I just thought it was normal. The group of friends I was hanging out with also went to jail, so like it just seemed like this is just normal.
Right.
And then once I was introduced to OxyContin, clear into, I was probably
And so many people got
20, 21 years old.
addicted to that.
Oh my gosh.
So
crazy.
many people got addicted to OxyContin.
Crazy. And, again, I remember the first time I was introduced to it. I remember where I was at. I remember it was a 40 milligram OxyContin, which is a yellow pill.
Okay.
I remember watching this guy.
That sounds like a lot.
Yeah.
Is that a lot? Sounds like it.
Yeah, if you were to compare it to this surgery, this wisdom teeth that we just, talked about.
Yes.
Those are typically 5 milligrams of hydrocodone. And
but you just said 40.
I'm sorry, oxycodone.
Okay.
And so 40 is what you're taking all at one time, and essentially it's about 8 of those. I mean, you think about it, 5 milligrams times 8, that's 40. So you would have to take 8 of those pills at one time
to equal up to that one.
And really, pain clinics, now that I didn't know this then, I know this now, but essentially, both can be prescribed to a patient. So if you are in immense amount of pain and you went to a pain clinic, they can prescribe you both of these drugs. And essentially, the OxyContin is meant for a time-released, long-term, long-acting pain.
Did you start using? Was you getting those off the street?
Yes, absolutely.
Or so none of that was from a doctor,
No,
anything like that.
At one point in time.
No. Oh my goodness.
Now I'm sure it originally came from somebody's doctor, just not my own.
So you did IV.
Yeah, that was a little bit later. Yeah, beginning, just if the viewers don't know, you take the coating off this pill, okay, to take this time release portion off of it, and then you crush it up, and you're going to snort it up your nose, and that's where you're going to get it all at one time, versus you just taking it and swallowing it, and it's supposed to act about 12 hours, and back to that, just so they kind of understand. If the same patient that has chronic pain is taking OxyContin morning and evening, or even 3 times a day, if there's at any given time some intermittent pain to where they just are overwhelmed with it, they go to their medicine cabinet and they can pull out the same pills that we get from our dentist and take for a short time, just an extra little pain relief at that moment. So patients can be prescribed both.
It's
a lot.
That's a lot.
And
especially you're at a young age, you are hanging out in the streets, you're hanging with your friends, you've got a father at home spiraling out of control. At that time, was your mom and dad still together?
Yes, he finally got sober, and they were still together. My brother was living with me. My sister was living on her own. Okay. And but eventually my mom did leave my father through all this, and he would eventually come back and apologize to me. Knocked on my door one day and didn't know who was at the door, and I opened it up and it was him. And
was you receptive of it?
Well, the apology from at that point was for him kicking me out and basically cutting me off,
did he know you were on drugs then?
He knew I was on drugs. I don't think he knew how severe my addiction was. I don't think he knew that I was addicted.
Did he realize that part of what he showed you?
No, absolutely not.
Did he take any?
No, did he?
Never took any accountability for that.
No, and looking back, I was like, look, you knew that I was, going down this path, and that never, but one time did you stop and as a father say, hey son, this is what I did, and this is how I came over my addiction. And I can see the same thing in you that I had. No, not one, Never.
He just
I
came
mean,
to tell you that I'm sorry for kicking you out.
Yeah, and the only reason he came to apologize is because my mom left him and he was all by himself.
And he probably thought that would help him with your mom, maybe.
Maybe, or just nobody else would be around him, and he was just trying to, I remember after I went to therapy, which anybody that's listening, I would always recommend go talk to somebody. No matter what, even if you're the healthiest mindset you've ever been in your entire life, if you go actually talk to somebody,
I believe in therapy.
Yeah, you'll understand why you think the way you do. These individuals, these counselors that are sitting across from us, they've seen thousands of patients with the same stories, and they can easily put you in a category and say, hey, I've seen 900 other patients that had your same story, and here's what they do. And you're like, oh, I do that. And say, oh, okay. So
I think a lot of people look at therapy, and viewers, I really want you to understand this. Therapy is not just for a drug addict.
Yeah.
Therapy is not just for someone. Therapy helps in so many ways. I went through a divorce. I went to therapy. And I went to therapy because, to be honest, I didn't want anybody else's opinion.
Yeah.
I wanted, I was hurting, going through a divorce. I didn't know how to express what I was going through. And so I felt like if I went to therapy and talked to somebody that's not my family, not my friends, not any of that, there would not be judgment on a way of that person. If they were going to judge me, it would be judging me to help me to get past it, not
what you really
subscribe to it. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. And then even when me and David had miscarriages, my doctor literally said, I want you to go to therapy. You've had a lot of miscarriages. You just lost your father. And you're not grieving. You went back to work.
Yeah.
You didn't grieve. Yeah. There's no way you grieved because you just went right back to work the week after all that happened to you. And so I want the viewers to understand that therapy is not just for a drug addict, but it's a great, if you are that you really need help and you feel like that you're at that breaking point, and you don't even have to be at the breaking point. It just to the point that you need help. There is so much help out there. Yeah. Please talk about.
I mean, even for my specific scenario, I didn't go to therapy until I was almost 40, if not 40 years old. And I feel like I healed on my own, which I wouldn't recommend. I'm not trying to say that, but just know that through guided meditation, a lot of running, and trying to decipher things in my own head, I was able to come through all this. And plus, once you get over a drug addiction that's both mentally and physically binding to you, and you kind of overcome that, you understand your mind in a different way. And it's hard for me to explain that to somebody that's not done it, but it's sort of like you tap into a part of your brain that you didn't know you had control over. And then once you it's kind of like that courage and confidence. Like you have to have the courage to do something, and the confidence follows later. It's like once you've done it, then you have the confidence. Like, well, I already did this. I could probably do this. Right. And so when I went to therapy, I was happy. I was probably thriving. Just built my house. I had a beautiful home.
Things were better.
And but when I went and I started talking to her, I was like, here's what I do, this is what I do. And she just showed me a roadmap, and she's the one who encouraged me to go talk to my dad about my childhood. And here's the crazy thing. When I went to, I don't say this in the book, but because
we're getting exclusive, y'all.
He eventually had developed Alzheimer's, and he got dementia, and I had to put him in a assisted living.
So you had to take care of somebody.
There was
that
nobody.
Brought so much hurt.
Yeah, there's nobody here. So my brother lives in South Florida. My sister's still wayward, on drugs, and in and out of jail to this day. Okay?
Oh, wow.
And then his first daughter lives in Florida as well, and just wasn't a part of his life. I mean, not that she didn't want to see him and didn't communicate. I mean, she still had that yearning to know who her father was. But
she just probably wasn't vested.
Yeah, as much as as a child normally would.
Yeah, because she wasn't in the home, and she didn't
present.
have that relationship.
No. And then, of course, my mom remarried. And, of course, she divorced him 18, 20 years ago. So I was all he had. And before he was to the point where because he was still living on his own at this time, she's like, you need to have a conversation with him. I think you're going to regret not. And she's saying it from a point of, hey, I have seen this in my practice. And you have an opportunity not to regret it. Or, not that you will or won't.
And let's stop there for a second. I've literally told friends and family that same thing. If you cannot truly say, if something happens to this person, and I did not go and air it out, you know what I'm saying? Just, even if you're saying you're the worst person there is, but not having that voice and not being able to say la 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 la, to whoever it is, some people will have that regret.
Yeah.
And I've told people, even if you get the regret and you didn't get that moment, okay, you need therapy to get through that too. And it's okay. I want people to understand this, is that say you did not get that moment. Say you do have regret, okay? You are the child, okay? And sometimes you're just not there. Yeah. You don't have the strength to do that. And it was great that a professional told you, hey, John, you still have time.
Correct.
And you made the decision to go.
Yeah.
Okay.
Monday after work.
Yeah, and some people don't. Okay.
I almost didn't.
Okay. But yeah. It sounds like you probably would have regretted it.
Yeah.
If you didn't.
Well, yeah. I think the answer that I was given when I asked them said all I needed. It did give me closure, but probably not the closure that you think. But it was one day after work. His house was on the way to my house.
Okay.
So, of course, I simmered on this idea of talking to him about it for a while, and
probably rehearse what you was gonna say.
Yeah, how do you bring it up? And so one day, with just like I do a lot of things, I was just like, today's the day. I'm just gonna go. Didn't think about it.
So was you still on drugs then?
Or no, this is fast forward. I'm 47 years old.
Okay, you're 47 years old. You've already went through that, and we're gonna go back to a thing, but I want to finish this out. So you went to him and what?
Yeah, I'm vice president of a multi-million-dollar company this time. And I'm like, I decided to go by his place, and hey, Dad, you home? Yeah, I'm gonna have him stop by. Okay. Didn't even tell him why. So I pull in, he's sitting in the same old chair. At this time, he's been divorced from my mom 18-ish years probably, maybe 16-ish years. He did remarry at one point in time. That marriage only lasted 4 months, I'm sorry. And the woman wanted it annulled because he was just that bad of a person. She didn't know who until she lived with him. It's crazy.
So was he still alcoholic?
No, but just a mean dude. Just says things that you wouldn't want to say to a loved one.
Exactly.
And she wasn't gonna put up with it. She's like, I'm gonna get out as well I can. So I sit down at his apartment and I just shoot him straight. I'm like, Dad, I kind of want to know, why did you do all these things, and laid it out on the table. And he just looked at me, maybe silent for 2 or 3 seconds. He's like, I don't remember any of that. Can you hand me that remote control right there?
Wow.
I said, I sure can, Dad. I handed the remote control. I said, I gotta go. And I left, and that was it. That's exactly what
you told him everything, and he literally said, I don't remember none of that.
Didn't try to recognize it, didn't try to say anything. But that's just...
And viewers, I'm glad you're sharing this, okay? Because I talk about, you can say, do whatever you want, but the one thing you cannot control is how someone else is going to react.
Yeah.
And if you wait for that reaction, you could be wasting time, life, and having experiences that are more pleasing to your soul, happiness, that type thing, because it sounded like your dad, he didn't want to take ownership to anything. Mm-hmm. So it's easier to say, oh, well,
I don't remember.
Yeah, that type thing. So let's go back a little bit about your drug use. What was the beginning of the change? What got you to realize I've got a problem and I got to address this?
Yeah, it happened a lot actually. It's hard to probably put in words, but the first few times when you actually don't have this drug. And so what that would look like is if I bought, this is before I got on Oxycontin.
Okay.
If I bought, or even when I was on Oxycontin, let's say I bought 20 pills and I had enough to go to work, take the pill, there was no problem. I mean, it's not like you would know I was on this drug except for my pupils being extremely pinpoint. But other than that, there's no telltale sign. I mean, I'm, not drunk.
Right.
I'm not high. I'm not, goofy or red
Right.
eye from being
So
stoned.
nobody would know.
Nobody knew.
Okay.
And so you can just manage this lifestyle for as long as you want until you either run out of money or you run out of the drug. And when you don't have money to buy the drug, or your dealer or somebody doesn't have any, that's when you start going through withdrawals, and that's when you first get a taste of like, oh crap, I'm like, I don't feel good, and like, am I addicted to these things? And so then you start seeing where you need it every day just to function.
Okay.
And if you don't have money, there's things you can steal. I remember, I stole too many things.
Okay.
Wrote bad checks up to probably $14,000 worth of bad checks. Did a lot of bad things just to feed this habit. Things I would never do as a normal individual. And then as soon as you got a supply back, or as soon as you got more money,
You felt like
it just went on the back burner. Like, I'm good now. As long as I can ride this train, I'm fine. Until it reared its head again, and like you ran out of money or you ran out of the drug, and then that's when it became a problem. And
was there a certain thing that happened that made you finally address it?
I tried to address it numerous times, yeah.
Right.
And what would happen is this addict brain and this voice of mine, of all of ours, just whispered in my head, "See, you quit. You don't have a problem. It wasn't that hard. Look, you've not had one pill in a week, 2 weeks, a month. You're not addicted. You got this. You're in control. You got this." And so you'd go back and say, "Yeah, I'd like to have one. It's been a while. I got some money." And you snort another one, and the next thing you know, you're right
back in the cycle.
And then when I was eventually introduced to IV drug use, that's when things changed. I was at the time shooting 80s. So that's we go back to that that pill that we talked about from the doctor. That's 16 of those bad boys at one time.
Oh,
and
wow.
I would shoot 5 or 6 times a day.
Was there a woman in your life?
There was the girl that I eventually married and had a daughter with that I dated off and on. And she didn't do any of this stuff. Now, she partied and loved a good time, whether it was drinking or smoking.
But she wasn't doing that. Did she know you were doing it?
She did, and then I told her I quit, and then I hid it from her. Once I told her I quit.
So you went through the stage of hiding it.
Oh, 100%, yeah.
Oh, wow. So what...
And then when you get away with it, you can hide it, and you're just like, okay,
So did you go to rehab?
That's where the methadone came in. Yeah, that's a same guy that actually introduced me to shooting Oxycontins. Eventually wised up, and he enrolled himself into the methadone clinic. And back in the late 90s, early 2000s,
the same person?
Yeah.
Okay, keep going.
Yeah, it's crazy. So MAT, which is medical assisted treatment, is what we call it, and that's methadone, Suboxone, Vivitrol. These are all the ones that you can give to a patient
to help them
off. Specifically opioids, which is heroin, fentanyl, Oxycontins, hydrocodone, all these pills. And so, essentially, back then, we didn't have Suboxone. It was just methadone, and I didn't know this at the time I wrote the book. I thought it was actually, we didn't have Vivitrol either, but they did, and it was it's a shot now, but back then it was the thing they would cut your skin open and put like this foam underneath your skin, so it slowly absorbs over like a month period of time. Crazy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cut your skin.
I didn't even know that existed. But anyways, this guy Matt, he ended up going to the methadone clinic, and he asked me, do I want to go with him? And I was like, nah, man, I can do this on my own. Like, I don't need to trade one for another. That drug's
Do you think
harder.
he felt like, because he introduced you to that, he wanted to help you get off of it because that's what he introduced you to?
Could be, but it was probably more that we were just around each other all the time. It would just be like me and you being best friends.
Yeah.
And instead of us going to a football game together, we're going to go get high together. I mean, like, but you know, that's sort of, and then you only want to be around the people that want to get high. I'm not going to go hang out with somebody that wants to go to a football game and do, you know, activities other than getting high, because I don't want to do any of that. I just want to get high.
Right.
And so, and methadone is a lot stronger and a lot harder to come off of than it is oxy. So I was like, no.
I've heard that.
Yeah.
I've heard that, but I was like, really?
And so he goes, don't see him for a couple weeks, actually a few weeks, maybe a couple months. And he comes back and just good skin, no bags underneath his eyes, put on weight, looking good.
Was happy.
And comes into my apartment and he says, you got one for tomorrow. And of course, I'm still strung out. At this point in my life, I have rotten teeth, malnourished, IV drug user, track marks on my arm. I was like, I ain't got one for tomorrow. He said, well, you didn't know this, but my first day down there, I put your name on the waiting list, and tomorrow's your day. And that changed my life. Yeah. I ended up calling my mom because I didn't have the money to get in it. And, had every right not to answer that phone. You know, I've lied to her thousands of times.
So you went in.
And she answered the phone when I called, and she gave me the money, and I went.
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm.
So you went into rehab and went through the program, and you came out. Did you have a relapse or anything like that?
Not after that. No, not after that. No.
Wow.
Now, for the viewers, the methadone clinic, unless it's changed, I'm not trying to throw shade. I am a proponent for MAT, and I think it helped me, and I think it will help everybody, and anybody that's in that situation should get on it. But there is no end in sight. If you want to be a patient at the methadone clinic for 20 years, they'll let you. You know.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So.
That's wild.
But you're still contributing to society. You're no longer stealing things, and as the addict, they still don't want to deal with the demons inside their head. And essentially, about a year later is when I detoxed off it. I was on 90 milligrams at the time. They took me off 10 milligrams a week. So 9 weeks later, I went through the withdrawals, and that's when the real battle began. And but that was my rock bottom. And in the chapter 19 of the book, I call it "No One's Coming."
No one's coming.
No one's coming.
You're all by yourself.
All by yourself. I put myself there, and I was the only person to get me out was me. And little by little, I fixed my record. I fixed my teeth. I enrolled myself back in school. Became.
That was what I was about to ask you.
EMT first,
yes.
And then became
in emergency.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, at the time, it was really great timing because once I enrolled myself back in college, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna be a fireman. The first thing I needed to do was become an EMT, because everybody, that's like not a requirement, but it's something easily, quote unquote, easily achievable. But it's going to make you look a little bit better on the resume. So I enrolled myself at Walter State and started the process. And when I graduated, became an actual EMT that very month. Wild. That actual very month, the Knoxville Fire Department was hiring 40 new firefighters, which is unheard of.
Right, very. Yes, I was about to say that. Very.
Very.
I'm friends with a lot of firemen.
Yeah,
so
it's just such a good job. Nobody leaves it. Unless somebody dies or retires.
They retire. I was about to say.
Yeah, they're not an opening.
That's true.
Unless they're going to build a new station in an area and say, hey, we need 30 new firemen. But essentially, the Oak Ridge opened up a new fire department, and they needed to staff it in this. Which took 60, 80, 90, I don't know how many people, but they took it from the surrounding areas. And Knoxville had 40 firefighters leave, and the Gatlinburg Fire Department had 5 leave.
Is that what helped you to gain your identity? Now I'm off of drugs. Now I've, worked on my health and going down a healthy way. Is that what putting your time into service?
Yeah.
Is that okay?
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's what I'm taking from that.
Yeah, my passion and my fulfillment, and still is to this day, is helping others.
Okay.
And I think it stems from being wanted. You grew up in a household that you don't feel loved or wanted, and then these people are calling 911 for you to come help them, and they want you there, and you are helping them. I mean, it comes with a feeling that's I never experienced before, and I was good at it. I went to school. It was the first time I was making A's on tests, and I graduated top of my class, got all kinds of accolades and awards from the college. And again, once I graduated, I applied to both Knoxville and Gatlinburg Fire Department because I didn't care who was going to hire me. And I did the physical agility test for both of them. I did the exam for both of them.
That's
and
amazing.
The Gatlinburg Fire Department was just the one to call me back first.
So for everything you went through, it really prepared you for something. We got to stop right there because you know what, viewers? We're going to do a part 2. I'm going to bring him back next Friday because this story has not been told. And we just need to keep it going. Let's go. Next Friday, John Matthews.
Thanks for listening to Talkin' Tennessee with Yvonnca. Watch out for our weekly episodes from the first family of real estate. And check us out on the web, www.yvoncasalesrealestate.com. See our videos on Yvonca's YouTube channel or find us on Facebook under Yvonnca Landes and Twitter @Yvonnca Landes. And don't forget to tell a friend about us. Until next time, Yvonnca signing off.